Hi, everyone, and welcome to our December 2025 new moon gathering. I'm recording this gathering from an Airbnb out in the woods that I rented for my mom and I for solstice weekend. So it's got some um, extra magical vibes because we're just kind of in this really cute apartment surrounded by trees and water and all the nice nature things. So for tonight, I'm going to, as we always start, taking a few breaths to kind of ground back into our bodies, followed by a little bit of information, and then we'll kind of, I'll lead a bit of a meditation and offer some reflections during it. If you are watching this as a replay, feel free to pause this if you don't have a journal and pen handy. Grab your water, get cozy. Um, and yeah, this session will give you an opportunity to kind of look back on some things and ponder and then jot down some notes or just go into a full journal session if that feels good for you. All right, so let's start with a few deep breaths. I'm going to shake off the day or just have a pause if you're kind of partway through the day. Just kind of check back in with yourself, get back into your body before we move forward. I'll invite you to take 4 or 5 deep breaths. Just remembering that the exhale is longer than the inhale. You can pause on the up and the down if you want, top and bottom. Hand or hands over heart if you need a little extra somatic body support. Breathe in through your nose, exhale through your nose or your mouth. You can keep your eyes open, close them if you want, and just kind of notice if your body needs to do any stretching or movement to kind of shake out any extra energy you may be holding on to that you're not aware of, and just kind of bring yourself back down into your body so you can receive this information and any inspiration that comes with it. So we'll do that and then we'll get going. Imagine the day kind of melting away. Any thoughts that have been distracting you, imagine filing them away in a filing cabinet, in a chest or a box of some sort. You can get back to them when it's time. If your shoulders feel like they're up near your ears, just move them back down, roll them out a little bit if you need to. If your tongue is sitting at the roof of your mouth, relax it, bring it back down. You can imagine roots growing from your tailbone down into the earth to kind of ground you, help you to relax a little bit more. So we're going to start with talking about the new moon in Sagittarius, and then we're going to move into winter solstice themes and nervous system nourishment. I thought I would kind of bring both together since it is winter solstice weekend and I'm not hosting anything on winter solstice. So we can kind of tune in that way and use it as an opportunity to kind of bring them both together as a lot of the themes and wisdom and reflection points are the same or similar. So starting with Sagittarius, Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's the last fire sign of the zodiac. And when I think of fire sign, I think of like initiation and moving forward and persevering and stuff. So this can be an opportunity to kind of observe, and if there's anything to take action on, we can do that. It also it's the end of autumn, the last harvest, an opportunity to gather and celebrate prosperity, which aligns with winter solstice. Winter solstice is on Sunday. I'm recording this on the Friday. And Sagittarius is also the truth teller of the zodiac. If you know anyone who's a Sagittarius, you might they might sometimes their communication style can be very direct. It can come off as a little bit harsh sometimes, not ill-intended. It's just kind of the way it is, right? So it might sound a little spicy from time to time, but it's just the nature of Sagittarius energy. It's also the symbol for Sagittarius is the centaur, which is half horse, half man. And it represents the line between our two minds, like our thinking brain and kind of our feeling intuitive side, left versus right. And it gives us an invitation to take inventory, get curious, and kind of reflect on how we've been operating and showing up in our lives, whether we've been more left brain, analytical, which can also be more of like our survival side, or if we're leaning into the right side, that intuition and that kind of slower, um, more resourced, like being able to receive the wisdom, and just being able to, yeah, see the difference and notice where we've been operating between intuition and more of like our conditioned beliefs and all of that, and then be able to, yeah, make a decision. Because once we're aware of things, then we can actually choose. Because I see like survival patterns and stuff as having life on kind of an autopilot cruise control. And then when we get curious and uncover some of these things, that's the opportunity to take the cruise control off and actually take hold of our own directions and where we're going and how we're getting there. Now, I have a couple reflection questions that you can ponder. These are giving credit to Sarah McCormick. She's in charge of Soul Care Astrology. And if you haven't followed her, give her a follow. She's got great content. So she sent out an email. So some of these ideas, I also will give credit to Molly McCormick. She's an incredible intuitive astrologer, and some of these ideas and information that I've gathered to in order to deliver it better are from these two women. So Molly McCormick is intuitive astrology, and Molly McCord is intuitive astrology, and Sarah McCormick is soul care astrology. The reflection questions, there's three of them. So they are, what in your life is ready to expand? The other thing I meant to mention about Sagittarius, it represents like travel, exploration, learning, and discovery. So really getting curious, to uh, what we want to learn, what our interests are, and how we can develop and expand as humans and souls. Then the second question is, what is sparking your curiosity that you want to learn about? And number three is, what beliefs do you hold sacred? Now, feel free to write those down. Again, I'll read them out. What in your life is ready to expand? What is sparking your curiosity that you want to learn about? And what beliefs do you hold sacred? And those ideas are from Sarah. Moving into winter solstice themes, winter solstice is also the turning point where the sun moves into Capricorn. Main themes for winter solstice, end of autumn, seasonal turning point. It's first day of winter, moves into Capricorn season. From a sun standpoint, it's kind of like it's a moment when, for when we have the shortest day and the longest night. before the sun starts to appear more, right? Before the days start getting longer. So it's kind of like a pivoting point, but at the same time, there's an opportunity. There's a time that things kind of stand still. It's an opportunity for silence, for reflection, for connecting to sacred space and internal peace. And I think what we'll do next is go into a bit of a meditation, and then I'll use some of these questions that I've written down here as part of the meditation. And then whatever comes up, you can kind of jot down, or you can go back and write the questions down if you want. So, what we'll do right now, for relax, if you need a couple more deep breaths, feel free to do that. Get comfortable. And if you feel safe and comfortable closing your eyes, you can do that. And yeah, we'll just go into a bit of a meditation. So get comfortable that way. And I just have someone who's going to enter the room. So just give me a second while I get them settled, and then we're going to move in. So just take a moment to settle in, a couple deep breaths. Okay, so this evening we are we're going to sink down into our heart space for this one. And for those of you who haven't done a meditation like this, or gone into your heart space with me, or through someone else facilitating, I see that as our heart space is, I mean, they call it some people call it the seat of the soul. It's like where the soul resides. It's that place within us that has all of the wisdom and the knowledge. It's where we tap into our intuition. Um, so however that looks or kind of feels for you, just take a moment to kind of sink into that space, that very safe space that is unconditional love. It's there to hold you. It's that very safe space within us, within our body, that we can always go to. If you are visual, you can imagine like sinking down, and I know one of my mentors, Rebecca Campbell, describes it as like opening a flower and stepping into it. For me, I visualize kind of walking down a path and going through a gate, and my kind of safe space is a meadow, and lots of flowers and just warmth and lots of fluffy white clouds in the sky, with a swing. And that's sometimes where I imagine like meeting my loved ones who have passed, and having conversations, and just connecting with them through my heart space. So whatever that looks like or feels like for you, if you're not visual and you're more, um, you can feel into it, or however that looks like for you with the intuitive senses. Just take a moment to kind of lean into that space and get settled. It's nice to kind of reconnect or connect with that space and allow it to hold us while we meditate and reflect and kind of ponder some of the reflection questions and the information that I'm going to give you. So give it just a moment there. So new moon energy, when there's a new moon, we don't see it in the sky, it's dark. So symbolically, metaphorically, it's an opportunity to get quiet and plant the seeds. This is when, if you do any manifestation work, new moon is a perfect opportunity because it's like the darkness. You are planting the seeds in the earth, um, that you want to bring to fruition. This is the time, whereas the full moon is very illuminating. The moon represents our emotions. So the full moon is a time to release and kind of look at what may or may not be serving you. So with the new moon, this is our opportunity to plant those seeds and decide where we want to go next and some of those first steps to get us there. We don't have to know the whole plan. Soul never gives us all of the direction and the entire path. It gives us the first step. And when we take those first steps, the next step unfolds and so on. So that's one way to know that things are soul led. You won't see the entire path. Not like how we're taught just through society to kind of see our goal and then entire reverse construct it. um that's all the mind. That's the mind's work. It's not the soul. Bringing the solstice themes in with the new moon, um this is an opportunity to look back on the last 6 months since the summer solstice, so since June, and take a moment in reflection to see what's transpired in the last over the last 6 months. And what areas have you grown in? I know in particular that the areas where we grow, um, are the areas that was most challenging. What have the challenges been since June? And how have you grown, or what lessons have you learned or are you learning through those challenges? And what would you like to leave behind in 2025? And along that string, what do you want to bring with you into 2026? What are some of the strengths and the experiences and what you've learned from them that you want to move forward into 2026? And playing on the Sagittarius discovery, uh, travel, exploration themes, what do you want to create and bring into physical manifestation or form in 2026? What are some new ideas that you want to create? And just sit with those first questions for a moment before we move forward. You can also take an opportunity in the looking back part over the last 6 months, or even the full calendar year if you want, to just allow that the safe space that you've leaned into to hold you, and just honor the journey that you've been on over the last 6 months. Allow that safe space to tell you that it's okay if you've had some hard times, if you've really been through it, and have had days where you just weren't sure of, um, how you would move forward. Take pause, like with the theme of winter solstice. This is a time to pause in the darkness before the return of light. This is when we honor the dark before we welcome the light. It's important that we recognize the duality of life and this experience, being a human on earth, that not everything is happy and joyful. And it's the dark times where we have the opportunity to learn the most about ourselves and to strengthen those parts of ourselves in order to move forward and become new. Think of it as being forced into a cocoon and turning to goop, surrendering and trusting that however we're going to evolve and whatever the circumstance is molding us into, that it's going to be okay and we're going to come out the other end, see that light and turn into that beautiful butterfly. So it's taking a pause and knowing that difficult times, even if it doesn't feel like it right now, are for us. There's a poem that I really love. I don't remember what it's called at this time, but there's a line in it that says something on the lines of, "You must stand in the darkest shadow to see the brightest light." So we're kind of at a tipping point, standing in that shadow, darkest, longest night, shortest day, tipping into the sun returning, bringing that abundance into the seasons that are moving forward to spring and summer before we then start to go back into less light again. If you have an idea now what you want to leave behind in 2025, take a moment to kind of energetically cut those things away, feel it, visualize it, cutting cords, attachments to those things to help, or just feel yourself kind of falling away from those things. And when you're ready, turning towards 2026, however you want to visualize or feel into that, or the other senses too, whatever is your strongest intuitive sense, your interpretation of that. Looking ahead, what are you looking forward to? And to kind of start off with that, to build a bit of a foundation for the pursuit of your desires, your intentions, of your dreams, I think is really important that not only are we leading from soul and that intrinsic pull towards what we want, and having the ability to allow the noise of daily life and just this experience and how society runs to fall away so that we can stay connected to those nudges, to those desires and intentions. And part of that is reconnecting with our internal values and morals to allow them to guide us, kind of like setting our compass bearing. Those values, when we stay connected to them, they remain unshakable, non negotiables. And they will help us to stay on the path towards what we want because when the ego mind and societal norms and expectations and stuff try to sway you to perhaps taking actions um, that might not be in alignment with your values, when we have a good hold on what they are and we stay connected to them, we're able to discern more between what's true to us and how to proceed forward. We can start to pick up in our body, using our body, those yeses and those nos, because there's a difference in how they feel. A yes will feel expansive, it'll feel joyful, it'll feel right, it'll feel safe and comfortable. And a no, you might notice your body feeling constricted, like closing in, and it feels like your energy drops, it's a lower vibration. So when we stay connected with our values, it's easier to, in those moments when we think maybe there's something we should do, which we can be mindful of the shoulds, we can kind of use it to connect back and make sure that it'll help us to stay on the right track. This is also an invitation to honor what we're learning from past experiences and view them in a new light that honors our healing, wisdom, and personal needs. And it allows us to reflect on how we can slow down this weekend, this new moon and winter solstice. And when I say slow down, it doesn't necessarily mean doing less, but perhaps the actions that we take are done with more intention and with more grace and ease. So seeing the difference between kind of being on that autopilot, that survival patterns of just do and go in order to accomplish whatever without really doing it with a whole lot of intention or even pausing in between tasks to kind of reconnect with your body. This will help with stress levels. Um, super, super important. And the next thing I want to bring to your awareness is some nervous system nourishment. Because we're in kind of the darkest part of the year, which is an opportunity to dig deep and to look at these things, look at our patterns, if they're serving us. And one thing that is absolutely critical to creating creation energy and moving into new eras and new ways of being and creating what we desire is being resourced enough to do it so that we are creating from overflow, not depletion. Moving out of those survival ways and creating from soul and intention. It's slower going in some ways, but it's interesting how sometimes you actually get there faster by slowing down and being intentional with what you're doing instead of trying to just do all the things without intention. So when I think about nervous system nourishment, at the very core and foundation of it, I think about prioritizing things like good sleep, nutrition, and movement. It helps us stay well resourced so that we can stay in communication with our body and receive those intuitive nudges. Because soul is oftentimes quiet or subtle, but the messages are direct. And when we are too caught up in daily life and all the chaos that surrounds us, and we're living in our heads, it gets lost in the noise, right? So we can't hear those messages and those little nudges. If you're in a season of lots going on, one way you can help move through it with more grace and ease is taking pauses between tasks to reconnect with your body, giving it those moments, bringing it back to that safety, feeling a little bit more resourced, right? So you're not just running on adrenaline and cortisol all the time. This can look like just taking a couple deep breaths, putting your hand over your heart if you're feeling a little activated, a little stressed out. Just take a moment. It can be as simple as just like, I was listening to a podcast episode. I'm trying to think of the name of the podcast right now. And she was saying to just take a moment, and even it's called the Body First Healing Podcast with Britt Piper. Say you're loading the dishwasher, you're doing stuff in the kitchen, and it's just taking a moment to literally just like put your hands on the counter and just touch something and connect with it and just take a moment. It could be as simple as that. I loved that idea that she gave. For me, yeah, just taking a couple breaths. And when I notice if I have a long to-do list, I know today I had lots to do and I slept in, but it's a practice for me throughout. And I still forgot a few things, but it was okay. If I notice my mind just kind of like whirling and spiraling a little bit because I have so much to do and I'm kind of just here, there, and everywhere in my brain trying to do it all, I'll take a moment and literally say to myself, like, slow it down. What am I doing right now? Like, what is the task at hand? And let's focus on doing that before I'm thinking of the next seven things. So that often helps. And really, what would have been helpful if I just made a list of all the things I needed to pack. I didn't do that, so I forgot a few things, but that's okay. I still didn't feel like overly. I knew the day was going to be fine, but just taking those moments to just like come back to the present. This can look like taking a moment to orient your surroundings. That is another way that we send signals to our body that we're safe. And orienting, for example, if you're not familiar with that term, is just kind of like looking up and around at things that are not in your immediate space. So, say for example, you're if you're watching this on the computer or you're on your phone, you're looking at something very close to you, but it's taking a moment to like look up and look at the other things in the room and orient yourself. And I think the way that I feel about it is when we are in kind of fight or flight or some form of that, or a little bit activated, um, our vision kind of narrows in on whatever the threat is and stuff, and we might have a bit of blinders on. So taking a moment to kind of just like look around and reobserve your surroundings brings those signals of safety, that it's okay to kind of see what's further out. There's nothing immediate at hand that you have to focus on. So taking that mindful moment. And when you're looking at your to-do list, we can get really caught up on that list and be really hard on ourselves. I used to be. It's been a very conscious practice for me to see it from another angle. And what that's looked like to me is a list is great, but realistically, sometimes we can't get through it all in a day. And there's no failure in that. There just might not be enough time, especially if we're doing things intentional, it might take a little bit longer. So, looking at your list, one thing, is there anything you can delegate? Is there a task that you could delegate to someone who would be willing to support you? Or if not, how can you prioritize the list? Like, what are the three most important things, or whatever that number is for you, that is realistic that you can complete without burning yourself out? What is the priority? And what can wait till the next day or the next week? I still haven't decorated our Christmas tree. It's on the list. It just, to me, going to bed and getting a good night's sleep is better than staying up late to do something that, truthfully, it can wait. So I'm gonna get to it before Christmas, but just hasn't been. It's been my intention, but that's just an example. So releasing some of the pressure on yourself to do it all and get it all done. We can kind of be martyrs to it, right? Um, and the expectations on how much we get done. The other thing to look at is, how can we make our to-do list easier and less stressful? Can we break down some of these items into more bite-sized tasks? How can we outsource or just find creative ways to make it easier? And the example that I get is, for example, food prep. Say you're going somewhere, and making it easier is buying a veggie tray. Veggies are all already cut up and prepared, and it's got the dip with it, versus however long it takes for you to wash and cut and prep all the veggies that you want to bring. If you don't have the time and it's going to bring you a lot of stress and take away from the intention and the experience of, like, wherever you're going with this food, for example, why not just make it easy on yourself so that you can just focus on what's really important and being present in the process, and then enjoying your time with whoever you're with. That's just one example, but how can you make it easier? It might not be ideal or the best thing. Maybe you like doing this and creating it, but if you're in a time constraint, how can you make it easier on yourself? Done is better than perfect, right? And just be okay with a plan B. And also checking in with yourself along the way, listening to your body, asking things like, what does it need? Hand over heart, few deep breaths, sink in. What do you need in this moment? You've been go, go, go for a few hours, few days, few weeks, few months, that type of thing. It's time to learn how to slow down, check in. And the second question is, how can you honor and nourish its requests? Hitting that easy button, whatever that looks like. Forgetting about the rest of the list that you're not going to be able to get done without entirely exhausting yourself and not getting good sleep. What are the real priorities? Just remember to give yourself grace too. Be gentle and kind to yourself through the process. Um, Unlearning these patterns is not easy. Our brain creates these highways of synapses and it can be hard to rewrite it and choose different, especially when grown up and shown certain ways of being. And it's just how we do things. It can be hard to break away from that. So we have to do it very consciously, make sure that we're checking in along the way and honoring ourselves, giving ourselves permission to be different. And the last thing I want to bring to your attention before we wind down this quiet time, this bit of meditation, is on the topic of nervous system nourishment and honoring our bodies, coming into communication with it. These are a few tips that can be helpful in building that relationship, connecting with it, or reconnecting if you feel like um, some of these things have fallen away, is listening to the cues of your body. And this is as simple as just our bodily functions. Hunger, thirst signals. Staying resourced so we don't get super depleted and then end up hangry and with cravings, right, for those carbs, because our body's like, that's when our body goes into fight or flight, goes into that survival mode. So learning to listen and honor what our body's asking for us earlier. This also has to do with like bathroom signals, right? Not holding our bladder longer than we have to. Obviously, we don't always have a washroom available, but um, if we do and we have the urge, honor it. It's like that's a way of saying, I hear you. I know what you need, and I'm gonna listen and execute. It's a way to build trust and safety in your body. I know it sounds silly, but I almost see it as like a relationship, and it needing our body needing to feel kind of seen, heard, and understood. And these are ways that we can do that. It's like, yeah, we understood the communication and we're taking the action towards whatever it needs. So to kind of close out this reflective meditation, these tools that I've mentioned in the last few minutes allow like allow these tools to help guide you in 2026. I invite you to, as you pursue your dreams and intentions. Allowing intuition to lead. And in order to do that, our body has to be well resourced. They all kind of go together. And if this feels complete, you can thank the sacred space inside of you for holding you during this time of meditation and reflection. Thank it for any wisdom that is communicated to you along the way. And honor that wisdom that knows best for your highest good, most amount of healing. And in whatever form, way that feels best for you, you can move out of that heart, that soul space. Make your way back into the room. Do a little bit of movement, kind of coming back into your body fully, back into the present, back into the room, to the moment. If your eyes were closed, you can open them when you're ready. And take some time. If some ideas, inspiration is fresh, you can take some time to jot down some notes, journal it out. Or if you're not a journaler, perhaps just take some moments and just kind of ponder things. Just sit with it. Allow it to kind of integrate into your body. And with the intention that if you don't yet have any action forward, that the actions will come when it's time, and just kind of release it. I think that'll conclude our online gathering. I'll stop the recording and just wishing you a lovely new moon and solstice weekend. I hope that it's a time of deep nourishment, pause, reflection, taking inventory, releasing what no longer serves, leaving it in 2025. We did a meditation and cord cutting for the last full moon. So if you're in the Living on Lemonade group, that recording is there. It's also the podcast number 100 on the Living on Lemonade podcast. So you can go back and listen to that, or it's on YouTube as well. So wishing everyone a beautiful weekend, and yeah, we'll connect soon. Bye, everyone.
Hey, Lauren.